is due for payment in the year 2027 and 2028. Right, Honorable Speaker, 2027 alone, the domestic debt service that will be falling due will be 57.6 billion, and 2028 will be made to call upon to pay 52.5 billion Ghana cedis. So, Speaker, the debt service obligation of 2027 and 2028 are major harms. These harms are cancerous and pose significant risks to the economy of Ghana. But, Mr. Speaker, touch wood, we shall fix it. We shall fix it. Mr. Speaker, our debt service obligation of this financial year is equally burdensome with significant harms. February, we were called upon to pay 9.9 billion. July, we'll be paying 6.2 billion. And August, we'll be paying 10.1 billion, all this year. Right, Honorable Speaker, the fiscal challenges are further compounded by the significant short-term treasury bill that we also inherited. So, Speaker, these obligations, totaling about 111.1 billion Ghana cedis, requires rollover week in, week out, placing additional pressure on cash flows and liquidity requirements. Mr. Speaker, beyond the domestic maturities, Ghana faces significant external debt service obligations for the next 4 years. In the next 4 years, will be made to call upon to pay $8.7 billion US dollars, representing 10.9% of GDP, with heavy concentration again in the year 2027 and 2028. Again, Mr. Speaker, 55% of this external debt service will be due in the year 2027 and 2028. Right, Honorable Speaker, in the year 2027, we'll be made to pay $2.5 billion US dollars, and 2028, we'll have to again pay $2.4 billion US dollars. Right, Honorable Speaker, it seems the debt restructuring undertaken by the previous administration was designed to make 2027 and 2028 debt repayment heavy, sadly. So, Speaker, I don't know how come we sat and allowed that design to happen. So, Speaker, that is cancerous. But I can assure you, we will fix it. Mr. Speaker, in spite of all this upcoming domestic and external debt service obligation, no buffers were built to cushion this unprecedented debt service burden. Mr. Speaker, as of 7 January 2025, the debt service reserve account, the sinking fund in dollar, has a balance of 64,000 US dollars. Mr. Speaker, when we were leaving office, we left behind 319 million US dollars in that same account. Mr. Speaker, the debt service reserve CD account had an amount of 143 million Ghana cedis. Right, Honorable Speaker, when we were leaving office, the balance was 430 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, I now move you to stalled project. Mr. Speaker, due to the bilateral creditors' debt restructuring that is ongoing, undertaken by previous administration, a staggering number of 55 projects have been halted. Mr. Speaker, this leaves a massive amount of 3 billion Ghana US dollars in undisbursed loans and about $300 million in outstanding interim payment certificates, IPCs. Some of these projects include the famous Ifeanyi Kwanta Hospital, the Kejetia Market Phase 2, the Bolgatanga Boko Pomakrom Road, and the Tema Aflawa Road project. Delayed payment and demobilization from site could result in cost overruns of over 1.1 billion US dollars. Right, Honorable Speaker, the IMF-supported program imposed an annual disbursement ceiling of $250 million for all bilateral loans that are being restructured. This constraint means that it will take a minimum of 12 years to complete all of this stalled program. So, Speaker, unfortunately, as a result of the debt restructuring, all this stalled program, working with the IMF will take a minimum of 12 years if we decide to go business as usual. We'll be engaging in the coming days to resolve